Listening Library presents The Story of Moana, a tale of courage and adventure, adapted by Kari Sutherland. Read for you by G.K. Bose.
The Story of Te Whiti's Heart. When the world began, there was only the ocean. It was made of endless waves with nothing to break their flow, until a beautiful island emerged, the mother island, Te Whiti. Her heart had the power to create life, and she shared it with the world. The sea and sky filled with birds and fish and plants, and more islands were born, homes for this new life. People too came into the world, and everything was in harmony. But in time, some began to covet Te Whiti's heart, for they thought if they possessed it, the power of creation would be theirs. One day, the most brazen of them all, Maui, a demigod of the wind and sea, a trickster, decided he would find a way to take it. He possessed a magical fishhook that gave him great powers. He could shift his shape into any creature and pull islands up from the depths of the ocean. Voyaging across the wide sea, Maui traveled to the island of Te Whiti. He used his magical fishhook to take the form of a hawk and swooped down to land in the trees. Once there, he transformed again, this time into a lizard, and scuttled through the emerald green canopy until he reached the mountain that held the heart of Te Whiti. The mountain proved impassable to his lizard shape, yet Maui would not give up. Clever Maui chose another form, turning into a beetle. As such, he was able to squeeze through a tiny crack in the rocks and found himself in the sacred space where the heart of Te Whiti glowed. Shifting into his human shape, Maui crept closer to the bright spiral on Te Whiti's heart. He wielded his fishhook, prying loose the stone at the center and robbing Te Whiti of her heart. Yet, as soon as the stone was removed, the ground began to shake, and Maui had to flee. Taking form after form, beetle, lizard, and hawk, to avoid the crashing boulders as the mountains tumbled down on him. He raced across the island, finding that all the trees, flowers, and plants were dying around him. Without her heart, Te Whiti began to crumble, giving birth to a terrible darkness. Maui flew off a cliff with a mighty leap, using his hawk shape to reach his boat. He pulled the sail taut, but as he tried to escape the destruction, he was confronted by another who sought the heart, Te Kā, a demon of earth and fire. Te Kā was a terrifying being, dripping lava, billowing ash, surrounded by rings of flashing lightning. Maui grabbed hold of his fishhook and launched into the air to battle Te Kā. But Te Kā struck him from the sky. Maui was never seen again, and the darkness continued to spread across the ocean, killing life until the heart of Te Whiti could be restored. Chapter 1. Bouncing on her knees, 3-year-old Moana looked up at the tapa cloth her grandmother held. The brown and red paint on it traced the form of the ocean, a fishhook, and a spiral stone sinking beneath the waves. Maui was struck from the sky, never to be seen again, Grandma Tala intoned. And his magical fishhook and the heart of Te Whiti were lost to the sea, where even now, 1,000 years later, Te Kā and the demons of the deep still lurk. One of the children next to Moana twitched nervously as Grandma Tala's voice grew soft and ominous. The older woman lowered the tapa cloth to her lap. hiding in a darkness that will continue to spread, chasing away our fish, draining the life from island after island." Grandma Tala paused, then raised her hands into claws, her eyes twinkling mischievously. "Until every one of us is devoured by the bloodthirsty jaws of inescapable death." She clapped her hands together with a loud smack, like a shark's mouth snapping closed. Gasps ran through the crowd of toddlers, and several children clung to one another. But Moana sat forward and clapped, her face alight with excitement. Grandma Tala beamed at her, then turned to the rest of the group. "But one day, the heart will be found by someone who will journey beyond our reef," Grandma Tala said, her tone reassuring. "Find Maui, deliver him across the great ocean to restore Te Fiti's heart and save us all." "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" The shocked voice of Moana's father, Tui, the village chief, rang out from the back of the fale as he ducked inside. "Thank you, Mother. That's enough." His bare feet thumped against the ground as he hurried to break up the storytelling session. Scooping Moana off the floor, he touched his nose and forehead to hers in a hongi, and she crinkled her nose happily. Then he set her down and turned to Grandma Tala. "No one goes outside our reef. We are safe here. There is no darkness. There are no monsters." Tui swung his hands, accidentally knocking against the side of the fale. Jarred loose by his movement, several tapa cloths unrolled from their posts, each one bearing the picture of a different giant monster, all with mouths full of sharp teeth. "Ah!" The kids screamed and recoiled. "Monster!" shouted one girl, leaping to her feet. "It's the darkness!" shrieked another child. "This is how it ends!" a boy cried out. "I'm gonna throw up!" a toddler whined, clutching his stomach. "No, no," Tui said, as he waded into the crowd trying to calm them down. "There is nothing beyond our reef but storms and rough seas. Oof!" A little girl had elbowed his knee as she scrambled to hide behind him. Still shrieking, kids ran all over the fale, crashing into one another. Some even clambered up Tui himself, seeking safety from the monsters higher off the ground. "As long as we stay here, we'll be fine." Tui raised his voice over the shouts of the children, but it was a lost cause. They were too scared to listen. "The legends are true. Someone will have to go," Grandma Tala insisted. Lifting a toddler's arm out of his face, Tui turned to her. "Mother, Motu Nui is paradise. Who would want to go anywhere else?" Of all the kids, Moana alone was calm. She stood gazing up at a tapa cloth painted to show a beautiful, lush island. Te Fiti. She reached out as if to feel the leaves themselves, but before her fingers touched the cloth, another child barreled into it from the side. "Ah!" The kid cried as he ran past, his face covered in the cloth. Tui lumbered over to help, children weighing him down. But now that the cloth had been tugged off its hanger, Moana found herself staring at the bright blue waves of the ocean through the trees outside the fale. Sunlight twinkled off the water, and an answering sparkle lit up Moana's eyes. Everyone else was so caught up in the chaos, they didn't notice Moana slipping away and trotting down the path to the beach. As soon as her feet hit the sand, Moana felt like she was being drawn into a loving hug. The warm sand slid between her toes and over the tops of her feet, while the peaceful lapping of the lagoon sounded around her. Something glinted at the edge of the surf, catching Moana's gaze. Curious,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?